Okay, so I am just about to record this session for those who would not be able to join us today so that they can catch up on it. All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. My name is Akofa Dawson, and I am the head of programs for sports and leadership development at EduSports. And today we have three exciting guests who are joining us today to share their thoughts on the topic that we have. So just to check the atmosphere we have in the room, can we see some emojis in the chat? Can you react? I want to see how we are all feeling today. How are we? Okay, I see some interesting emojis. Anyone else? Okay. It's like the energy is very high. Okay, I see excited. I see someone's good. I see the smiley. That's very nice to know. Okay, so I mean, everyone here, at least there's something we have in common, which is that everyone knows what EduSport is and what we stand for and what we're about. So just briefly, EduSports, what we do is we connect, train, and equip over 400 local catalysts, and these catalysts coordinate specific strands or clubs in digital literacy, ecosystem, ignite equity, and EduKidz, which is the early childhood learning. And today we have a guest who is the EduKidz coordinator. And our approach is a collaborative community-led approach, which is also very important as today's session is actually centered on that. We are present in 50 community-led spots across Ghana and Kenya, and we are providing quality learning opportunities for over 10,000 children. And that's very impressive, seeing the scale at which EduSport works. And this session is part of the Catalyze Leadership Program. So the Catalyze Leadership Program is designed for dedicated and committed catalysts, and they undergo very comprehensive training on the Dream Sports model with a primary focus on ensuring, excuse me, the sustainability of sports and community action. So this catalyst the Catalyze Leadership Workshop, which we are in now, is rolled as part of the Catalyze Leadership Program, but it's extended to all catalysts within the network. And so we are very happy to have you join us today. And today, our session aligns with February's Sportly Challenge, which is engaging community stakeholders in education. So as we already know, I hope we have already started working on our February Sports League Challenge because it's already 18th of the month. And the topic is on improving your sports community and stakeholder engagement. Okay, so I am coming to introduce to us our amazing speakers that we have in our midst. We have Avril, we have Joseph, and I'm sure Richard will join us a little later as we go on. So please stay tuned. These people are not new to us. They have been in the ecosystem. We've heard from them. We've interacted with them in various capacities before. And I am very happy to have them join us virtually today as we discuss this very important topic. And also, as the introductions are going on from our catalyst, you can drop your name and the spot you are coming from in the chat as well. Okay, so I will start with Avril Kudzi, who is a social development professional with experience in leading teams and programs in Ghana and West Africa. She has technical expertise in education, health, that's maternal and child protection, behavioral change communication, and volunteering for development. Avril has built relationships, engaged with various stakeholders, and has a strong network with development stakeholders, including the Ghana Ministry of Education and its partners. She also has a strong track record in team leadership, including line management of regionally based staff and managing teams to implement results-based projects. Avril serves as the country director for VSO International with oversight for Nigeria and Sierra Leone, and also currently serves as the country lead for the Jacobs Foundation program in Ghana. Avril holds a bachelor's degree in business administration, finance option from the University of Ghana and a master's in development management from Ghana Institute of Management and and Public Administration. Sorry, that's GIMPA. Avril is also the co-founder of Partnerships for Volunteering in Development, a local Ghanaian NGO that places volunteering at the heart of the development work in Ghana. We are happy to have you join us today, Avril, and welcome to today's session. Please, let's leave some emojis in the chat. Let's react so that we know Avril is very welcome to join us in today's session. Need to
Thank
see
you.
the
Thank
fire.
you.
All right. Thank you and welcome again, Avril. Would you like to say a few words and then I move on to our next speaker for today?
Yes, okay. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm a passionate friend, I must say, of EduSports, maybe more than a friend, like a relative, I guess, of EduSports. So I'm always happy to have the opportunity to interact and engage with you. And I think today's topic is really so I look forward to an engaging session. Thank you all for joining.
All right. Thank you very much, Avril. And we are also very excited to have you with us today. Okay. So the next speaker I'm going to introduce is also no stranger to us. He is Joseph Neendow Wumbei, who is deeply committed to helping communities flourish through education with a special focus on childhood development. Over the years, he has contributed to impactful projects that bring meaningful change, from training teachers to supporting early learning programs. Joseph ensures that inclusivity remains at the heart of his work, empowering everyone regardless of their background. Before joining EduSports, Joseph worked with Lively Minds and the Savannah International Academy, where he played a pivotal role in keeping children in school, supporting teachers, and collaborating with communities to create safe, nurturing spaces for learning. His work has taken him across several districts in northern Ghana, where he's built strong relationships and shared valuable knowledge. At EduSports, Joseph's mission is clear: catalyzing collective action that supports young children and their caregivers by connecting communities, sharing good practice, and advocating for sustainable change. He empowers caregivers, teachers, and catalysts to create opportunities for every child to learn and thrive in a safe, inclusive environment. When he's not working, Joseph enjoys reading, mentoring, and participating in community projects. He is passionate about transforming lives through education and service, always driven by a vision of progress and opportunity for all. Welcome, Joseph, who also is the EduKidz coordinator at EduSports. A few words before we move on, please.
Yeah, thank you, Akofa. And hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. And I just want to say hello to Avril. It's nice to be here with you. And then I have a friend of mine who has joined. I just saw her in the list, a colleague from Lively Minds. I just want to say hello to Linda. Linda is here. Linda, thanks for joining.
Okay, Linda
And we
gets
are
a
looking
shout out
forward
from
to,
Joseph.
yeah, to have a great session. Thanks, Agopa.
All right. Thank you too. Thank you for joining us. So again, as we mentioned, today's session, it's very simple. We are going to talk about engaging community stakeholders in education. So the format of this would be, I would ask both Avril and Joseph a question, and then after they give us their response to that, I would then go on to ask some specific questions. So the first that would want to know is community engagement in education important at all and why? So Avril, if you'd like to start for us, please.
Thanks, Akofa. Yes, and thanks for the question. Yes, I believe that community engagement is very important in education. I think it's not just important, it is essential, or maybe a stronger word, that's critical in education, because research has even shown the community is engaged in education. They know their role, they understand and all that. There are lots of things that the community contribute to ensure that quality education happens in the community or in schools or wherever that may be. So community engagement is very key. And a bit more to even parental engagement. I mean, parents are part of the community. And studies have also shown that when parents are engaged in the school and are interested in the well-being of what happens in school with their learners, the learners, they are engaged in the school, they are making sure the teacher is at school, they are asking questions. They may not be literate though, but they're asking questions, why is the teacher not coming, or what does this mean? And there's also been programs that engaging the community has helped even improve the school infrastructure, brought water facilities to the school, and support the teachers. There are some schools that teachers are posted to in rural areas that teachers don't have accommodation or housing. And communities have provided rooms in their homes or, cooked for the teachers and provided all sorts of support to make the teachers feel welcome. So the teachers stay in the community and help them. And this in a long way goes to improve the community. So it is an essential part of any program that community is involved in education. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you for your submission, Avril. And also one thing highlighting here is the parental engagement as well. And also when the community is involved, they can even bring their inputs in, even improving infrastructure. Right. So what about you, Joseph? Is community engagement in education important at all, and why?
Oh, yes. Just like Avril has mentioned, I think education works best when the community is involved. The school is not just for teachers and students. It is actually for the community. The school is owned by the community. So when the community takes charge, they are involved, they take ownership, then great things happen. Avril has mentioned some research. In fact, several research has shown that there is improvement in the way students come to school, the way their reading levels. There's improvement when parents are involved. And for example, when you involve local leaders, let me say chiefs or business owners, they can support to provide resources for the students. So when the community comes together, it means that education can be stronger, and not just stronger, it can also last longer because they are involved. So they are the key to making it continue to run. So the key message here is that it's not just for the teachers, it belongs to the whole community. So it means that when we all take part, the better for the children.
Right. Also, thank you. I see that you also made mention of parents, who are also a very important aspect of the community that we engage. Okay. So, Joseph, now back to you. What are the biggest challenges you have faced in engaging communities in education? And if you could also share with us how you have navigated these challenges.
Yeah, interesting question. I like this one. It's very difficult to get people involved. It's not always easy. And one of the things is that many parents and leaders, they don't see how they can help. In fact, I had an experience of one stakeholder telling me that, oh, they are our children. If we don't want you to help them, is it by force? Or if we don't want to help them, is it by force? And this was trying to engage parents so that they can be able to help their children. So think about this. If you are asked this question, when you stretch a helping hand to support communities to be able to help their own children. But one thing is that it was clear that they didn't understand the importance of their involvement or the role that they can play. When people don't understand something, sometimes they react by defending it. So when we get them involved, get to their homes, make sure that they understand exactly what we are doing. Then we let them know that in the small ways that they are contributing, it is going to, yield big results. When parents see this, they always want to get involved. They always want to do something. Everyone wants what's the best for their child. So when parents are doing something that will help their children, they are not actually doing anyone a favor and they are not volunteering. In fact, it is a responsibility for them. So what I just want to say is that the challenge is a real one, but it's not impossible for us to overcome. So we need to encourage the parents. We need to speak in a language that they understand. That means that whatever we are bringing on board or suggesting to them, it must be in the context that they will understand. They should be able to contribute. When we organize meetings, instead of us to be the leads in talking, we should hear them. Let them bring their suggestions. Let them suggest how it can be get done. And when we do this, we will be able to overcome some of these barriers.
Thank you very much for that, Joseph. So again, on parental involvement, I think it's very clear that that's a very key point, as you have also made mention of it in this aspect of your submission. So Avril, I'm coming
Yes.
to you again. So with this, how can partnerships, whether with parents, our local organizations, or government institutions, enhance the impact of community education efforts?
Thank you, Akofa. And I totally agree with what my brother just said. I mean, I have nothing to add to his point. But I think that just to add a little, one of the key challenges which he mentioned is the lack of understanding of even the role they can play, because you will think that in a typical community, they say, oh, we are illiterate. I mean, you have your school. What can we bring to a school? We can't even read or write. So I think the key thing in answering your question is really the listening and the partnership and being able to explain to the one key thing that needs to happen in building the partnership is it's just like when you're building a relationship. It's not a one-time event. When you're building a long-term, let's say you're finding a new friend, or even you're going into marriage, or you're having a fiancé. It's not the first time you met and you had a discussion. Oh yes, come and join me. This is our school, and then that's it. You continue to nurture it. You continue to build it. You continue to understand each other. There may be disagreements, like the challenges that Joseph explained may come up, but it is a relationship building relationship building process. I don't call it event. So you need to continue to go to them and listen. You need to understand where they are coming from. You don't need to go in like, I know it, yes, I'm an educated one, here I come and listen to me, and this is what you will do. But rather you come and say, look, what's your culture? Understand the culture, understand where they're coming from, and together find solutions to whatever challenges they may face. Because more often than not, you may be trying to solve an issue or find a solution to an issue, because this is not the first time something like that has happened, either in the school or to a child or something. So the key role is listening to them and nurturing the relationship, being honest and open with the relationship. If you say something, you do it. If you promise, I don't like to use the word promise because politicians tend to promise a lot and fail us. But if you say something you're going to do it. Them at their level. If it's a farming, they are doing whatever they're doing, go to them and listen, and make sure that every voice is heard. There are times you may need to meet the community in different identifiable groups. You may be in an area that when you bring women and men together, the women are silent, because our culture is that women don't speak. So then you need to engage the women separately, engage the men separately, engage the young people separately, and also engage the children separately. And you tease out all the information, and then maybe at a later date, you can organize the whole community together and say, okay, in these different meetings we had, this is what we are learning. Is that sure? So it's a continuous building a relationship. It can take a year, 2 years, 3 years, but you need to continue to engage. You need to continue to feed the relationship. Like you're planting a tree, you will be watering it. you'll be, nursing it, weeding around it. That's the engagement and nourishing that you need to do to build those partnerships. And if that is done well over a period of time, you see that the partnerships are strong. You would even see that they maybe be calling for the meetings. You would even have to take a bus stage because community with the school that your role is not really needed. You're working yourself out of being a mediator or being a facilitator. So it takes constant nurturing, constant engagement, and taking the role as a facilitator, being the one who's coming with all the ideas. So it's a process. It's a process. I don't want to say it's hard work. It's a process, and it's not an event. So you need to continue to do it, and you would come up with some very great partnerships that will help in the work you're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that, Avril. So just some notes that I took whilst you were speaking. Community engagement with stakeholders is not an event, it's a process, and also it requires continuously building the relationship and constantly nurturing this engagement because it's not going to happen overnight. And also one other thing that stood out is checking the cultural context, even if it means engaging the various groups, for instance, women, children, young people during different times and different places, so that women would speak up when they have to speak up and not because they are keeping quiet, because there are men in their midst as well, again, depending on the cultural context. So just picking up on that part of your response, Avril, how can we ensure that the voices of vulnerable people are heard even during these community engagements towards stake education? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Akofa. So I think a bit of what I even explained in terms of meeting them in their maybe identifiable groups is one way you can do that. In some of our cultures in the northern part of the country, and once the men speak and you ask the woman, and Tekuya, what do you think? Oh, my husband has said it all, or my brother has said it all. So to ensure that there's voice for the people who normally we term as voiceless or the vulnerable, you need to meet them in their comfort area. So if it's the women, for example, maybe they're in the market or they're going to fetch water in the morning at the pump. And that's where it's perceived that women go and gossip, So why don't you meet them there and discuss whatever the issue is? Because you have them at the time where they are really alert and enjoying themselves and talking about each other's relationships and what's happening in their home. So you could have a lively relationship there. If it's children, you need to also meet them where maybe if their parents are there, there are sensitive issues maybe about the school abuse and things like that. Hopefully that is not happening. But if there are sensitive issues the children want to talk about, maybe even at the school they can't speak about it because maybe it's a teacher who is there that is a reason they want to speak about. So identifying these, quiet issues, these underlying issues, and you as a facilitator engaging them at different times where you feel you can get the best out of them. And even let's take it that even if it's a community debate, for example, it's up to you, the facilitator, to be noticing the quiet ones, the ones who are sitting like unconcerned with probably their back turned to where the conversation is and looking in a particular direction. There may be some problem there. So it is you as a facilitator needs to pick up those signs and then say, okay, you've made the note. Auntie Mary was not engaged. I'll find out later. Maybe she's at the market. I'll go and buy her tomatoes and sit with her and have a conversation and ask her, maybe there's something happening. So those are the ways you engage so that you get the voices heard, because people engage differently. It's not everyone who will talk in public like this. It's not everyone who will come on a presentation like this and ask a question. But maybe if you say, post the question in the chat, you will see questions will come in the chat. So similarly, when you're engaging community, these are some of the tools you use to ensure that all voices are heard. And don't condemn anyone. You may see, excuse me to say, a drunkard, that you may think, oh, this person is a drunkard. But they always say that the village drunkard is the one who has all the information about everyone in the community. And maybe that's where you will get the ins and the workings of how the community, the days that is good to meet them and all that. So don't be discouraged or don't eliminate anyone, but in your own way, try and pick up these nuances and then try and engage and make sure the voices are heard. Then always go back to the person. So even if you're having a one-on-one conversation and the person says something, it's always good to repeat and say, oh, Avril, I'm understanding that this is what you are saying or this is what you mean, so that you're getting the right information. Because normally people who tend to be voiceless or who tend to be shy, even when they are putting forward a point, sometimes you can misunderstand what they're trying to say. So listen, I say listen, but also pick up the cues and try and engage outside the main big group, so that you are able to get to the voice, get the voice of the voiceless in the conversation. So as a facilitator, you need to have these skills, skills that you're able to, within a group, identify, oh, this is a silent person, this is a quiet person, but I think there's some information. Why is this person not engaging? Why are they not looking me in the eye? And things like that. So those are some of the skills that a facilitator needs. And then after that, after the session, you find time and go and directly talk to these people, maybe in the language they are more comfortable with, or sit by them in the market, things like that, and tease out that information. But listening and being alert to these kind of nuances is quite an important skill, because that's how you can identify the voiceless or the vulnerable.
Okay, thank you, Avril. So on your last words, listening and being alert to the voices of the people. So this is how we can also identify those who are vulnerable, those who are marginalized, or those who need a little push so that we can hear their voices louder. Thank you for that, Avril. So Joseph, I am coming back to you. Avril has shared with us how we can ensure that the voices of people who are marginalized, who are vulnerable are heard. And then now asking you, how do we now actively involve these people in community-driven education?
Yes, so Avril has mentioned a lot of strategies. One of them that she mentioned is for us to listen. You need to be ready to listen. Community means everyone, so it means you have to be able to listen to everyone, and you have to devise strategies to listen to them. One of the things that she mentioned is to go to where the people are comfortable. For example, some people may not feel comfortable coming to the school for any engagement. But if you go to the marketplace, they will talk with you, they will share their ideas. They will be willing to do something to push forward education agenda. Some people prefer in their homes, you are with them. So go there, have a talk with them, chat with them. Let them know that you are also part of the community. And another important thing that I want us to look at is that the fact that you use the local language when you communicate to the people in the local language and are able to do that. The ideas you are trying to convey in English, you convey that in the local language. They will be more willing to participate. I've had instances where people who are staying with them in the community, they have something to say, but they say, I don't know how to say it in the local language. But in English, this is how we mostly say it. When you say that, you lose touch with the people. So you should be able to let them, not everyone can speak English fluently. So use the local language so that everyone can. And also let everyone be part of the decision. Avril has mentioned that meeting the women separately in some cultures, the men separately. And also, you can target certain groups of people. Avril gave an example of drunkards who knows everything about the community. That's true. There are some other people, they know everyone and everyone knows them. They don't hold any significant position in the community, but they are everywhere. You can liaise with them to engage the community. Also target influential people like the chiefs, the assemblyman, the religious leaders, like Some people will not listen at the markets, but at the mosques, they will definitely listen. If you get an opportunity to talk to them in the churches, they will listen. So you have to employ these strategies so that everyone can participate. Like we said, when we say community, it means everyone. So if you are able to use these strategies to target and get everyone involved, it means that what we are targeting in the first place, that education is community driven. Someone said something that I think is very powerful. He said that if you fall in love, it means you had an accident. You now have to intentionally work at it if you want it to lead to anything meaningful. And it's the same thing. Avril has mentioned that consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to be intentional of the relationship, continuously building it. Remember, we mentioned that there could be challenges, there could be resistance. So it's not a one-off thing. It's something that you have to consistently build and adopt strategies. Some may work. If it doesn't work, you go back and try again, and then use other strategies and until it works. And then also one other thing that I see, which is very, very powerful, is when people see your genuine commitment. When they see that you believe in what you are doing, you are committed to it, and you are not 2 steps forward, 3 steps backward person. You commit to it, you continue to put in the work. When they see that the passion can be contagious, you see that other people will join, they will support. So what I'm talking about in the last one is your great example. Be the example of the change that you are trying to lead. Put all of your energy, put all of your passion. Let them see that you believe in what you are doing and you are consistent at that. If you do that, you'll be able to get the community involved, and you will inspire everyone to drive education forward.
All right, Joseph. So you mentioned be the example of the change you're trying to lead, and that is very important because people are drawn to our energy and are drawn to our commitment, as you said. So when people see our genuine commitment, they'll be charged to also join us in this mission of creating futures we want to see through education. Okay, so we are getting towards the end of the session, but just two more questions. So one to Avril, one to Joseph, and then we have one general question. So yes, Avril, coming back to you now. How do we measure the success of community engagement in education beyond just numbers and attendance? Because we've seen that oftentimes when people talk about stakeholder engagement, it's a checklist activity for them that they met 10 parents, they met 2 chiefs in the town, etc., etc. But how do we ensure that we measure the success of community engagement even beyond just these numbers and attendance?
Thanks, Akofa. This really a good one because most people tend to make community engagement a tick box exercise. Okay, as you said, I met the chief, tick. I met the queen numbers, tick, tick. But it is you measure the impact of community engagement by the change that is happening. So it's not the number of meetings you've had, the number of people, 300 people came to the meeting. If 300 people came to the meeting and the school PTA meeting there is not being attended, the school's roof is leaking, there's no water facility in the school, and these are issues that have come up and it hasn't been fixed, then your community engagement has not been successful because it's not about numbers. It could be even 4 people who change and then come up and say, okay, yes, we'll go and weed the school compound because we want our children to be safe, play in a safe school. So we see the school compound is overgrown with weeds. There could be snakes, there could be bugs. Let's go and weed it. And they go and weed. That is the change you count, not the people who are coming to the meetings. It's the action that happens when this engage. That's why I said it's not an event. It probably can take a year before you see the community understanding it, as they say, where they take it on upon themselves that, okay, this is for us and we want to do this. There are communities that long time of community engagement, they themselves set up bylaws and say, if we see any child loitering in the during school hours, we ourselves would go to their parents and go and, find their parents or something. The change begins to happen. Whatever the change is in the school, you see that the community and the school teachers and head teachers are engaging. The community is supporting the school, as I said earlier, maybe with accommodation for teachers. The community is doing communal labor, weeding the school. It doesn't have to be money, weeding the school compound, engaging with the teachers, making sure children are going to school and not loitering around the streets or the markets. The community leadership, the chiefs and all that are really engaged. They are attending the school events. They are, they are having prize giving days and all that. And all that is community led. Then you can say your community engagement has been successful. So as to the numbers of people who come to your training program or your meetings, that's just a process. That doesn't tell you the truth. If you have even every community member there come to a meeting 6 times a year, that doesn't say anything. And the school continues to be dilapidated. The teachers are absent. Nothing is happening. It is just events they have come to. You haven't changed their mindset. Community engagement is about changing the mindset to do things differently, rather than sitting back and waiting for the Ministry of Education, after in Q4 to send you Q1 money. You are in Q1 taking up action and say, well, we are not waiting for the money. We ourselves are all going to contribute 10 cedis and go and buy that Veronica bucket that our children need to wash their hands. So that is when community engagement has been successful, when the action has happened and not, whether they are attending the meeting or they are in. So it's actually the action, the impact, what happens after these engagement, the mindset change, that community starts to talk school and not, oh, government school, but it's our school. Our children are going to school. Our teachers are showing up. Then you see the mindset is changing, and therefore they act accordingly to that mindset change. Thank you.
Thank you to Avril. So, dear Catalyst, I don't know about you, but I am making so many notes now on these very practical tips that both Avril and Joseph are giving us on engaging community stakeholders in education. And I really hope you are taking some pointers to support you in this month's Spot Lead Challenge. And also mentioning it is what happens after the engagements, the action we see, the change that we see. So that is how we measure the impact of stakeholder engagement, and not just the tick box activity of we've met the chief, we met this number of people. Thank you very much for that point, Avril. So coming to you now, Joseph. So Avril has shared with us how we measure stakeholder engagement beyond the attendance, beyond the numbers. So coming to you now, how do we shift from one community projects to sustained, impactful educational initiatives, so that it's not just a one-off touch points that happens in the community, but it's sustained, and when it's sustained like that, we see the impacts go on and on and on.
Okay, thank you again, Akofa. And I just want to say, Avril, thank you for making such a powerful statement. And like Akofa has said, this is something that we need to note, that the real success is measured in the lives it transforms. If you see the transformation, it means that there is success, not just in numbers or ticking check boxes. Thank you, Avril, for that powerful statement. Yes, so shifting from one-off projects to long-term impact. I think the key is what EduSport is doing. That is when the community takes charge. And that's one thing I love about EduSport, that the community, they are the people who identify that this is what we need in terms of education. They are the people who come together. They are the people who come out with the solutions on how to solve it. In fact, we have been raised, many of us, to always take things. We always say, give me. We tell the government, give me. When we see foreigners around, we ask them to give us. We always want free things. We always want things to be given to us. So because of that, we have not been able to learn much on how to maintain things. So when the community take ownership of the projects, short projects can come and go. But when the people see education as their responsibility, then it makes a difference. Think about this. If can you think of a parent where, let's say, the parent has a doctor friend. The doctor visits the parent and sees that the child is not well. The doctor gives an advice and says something like, "Oh, your child is not well. I think if you get 1, 2, 3 foods for the child, it will help the child to be able to grow strong and healthy." Can you imagine the parent telling the doctor that, "Well, I will do it only if you pay me to do it"? Will a parent say that? No, because it is their responsibility to take care of their own child, and they have seen that it is their responsibility. So even if you give them the technical support, you point them out that this is the things that the child needs to be able to have a brighter future, to be able to do well in the future. If you are able to point out that, and the parent knows that this is my responsibility, then they will come on board. They will do it. So it's very important. And we should do this if we train the local leaders to take charge. And this month's challenge is an opportunity for us as catalysts to engage the community leaders, to let them know that they are in charge. It is their school, it is their children, it is their program. Their ideas are what we are working with. And we not only that, we also have to teach them to fund the projects for themselves. Like Avril has mentioned, they should come to the point where they know that my 10 cities that I am bringing on board is going to make a lot of impact. Think about it as a catalyst. If you are able to liaise with the chiefs and the community elders, and then they are able to get, let's say, 20 market women who are committed to donate books to the school to support the sports programs, they can be able to do it. They can contribute together. And then once in a while, you invite them to come to the school and then engage with the children, see what is happening after they have put in their money. If we get them to this stage, then it can be a long-term impact. You are a catalyst, probably a teacher. One time you may be transferred or you want to move away from the community to a different location. What then happens? So you have to focus on building the community structure that will sustain what is happening by teaching the people that they can be able to fund it. Another important thing is that we have to look at how we can adapt our methodologies, how we teach the children in context of the community. So make the culture as part of the educational system. That is how you interact with the children. If you do this, then the community will come on board. They will be able to do something about it. I say that it's not the education that shapes the community, it's the community that shapes the education. If we are teaching something, we want to teach something that is relevant for them to use. If you go to a rural village and you are teaching them, say, ideas or things that you can use in the city, it is knowledge, all right, but it is not useful to them. They cannot use it for anything. But if you teach them or you engage the children with, let's say, good agri practices, they know that this is something that we can use. So it's the community who determine what kind of education that should be given. It's not that we just go to them and tell them, you must learn this. This is what you must learn. And EduSport is already doing that. So it is very important. So the parents are not volunteering. The parents are not doing anyone a favor. The parents are doing their responsibility. And we need to be able to build that bridge, that relationship to an extent that they see this as their responsibility. So in short, sustainability happens when the community take leads. Anytime they are following, know that it is not going to last long. Always when they take lead, then we have something that will last very long.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Joseph. So on your final point, sustainability happens when the community takes the lead on this. And then also again, with EduSports model, you can adapt it to your community context. And that's how come it's also thriving because different communities have different needs and they're able to shape the trajectory of the change they want to see based on EduSports model. So thank you very much for these very succinct and straight to the point contributions. So before we leave, just a final key takeaway for our catalyst. And the question is, if there was one key lesson you would like every catalyst to take away about engaging communities in education, what would it be? So again, to catalyst, if there's been so much that has been said. I'm sure you've been taking notes, but if you had to leave this session with one key takeaway, I'd like Joseph and Avril to share that with us. And also, Catalyst, please drop in the chat. We want to know what is a key lesson or your key takeaway from this evening's session. Okay,
Okay,
so
thanks,
starting with you,
Akofa.
Avril.
So,
Yeah.
yes, so I think I've said a lot, but maybe one key thing I've not mentioned is building trust. And just as Joseph said, the community will only lead when you've built the trust. They trust you, and then they know that what you're doing is for the it's going to help to develop and improve their lot. And in building trust, you need to, I've said it over, actively listen and engage. It's a process, it's not an event. You need to be transparent and honest. Everybody, if you are not transparent and honest, nobody will trust you. But if you are transparent and honest, you can build trust. And then you need to empower, and that's Joseph's point. You need to empower the community that this, you can do it. So you empower them to act. You are not always the one in the lead role. Even when you have a meeting, don't be the one who is always drawing up the agenda or taking the minutes. Empower committee members to do that. So you need to empower them. And then I think I said just to deliver on your promise. So if you said we'll meet at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, let it happen. Unless something, out of your control, but let the meeting happen. Don't promise that we'll have a meeting and then you don't show up, or it doesn't happen and there's no reason for it. So deliver on your promises, be transparent, be honest, engage, listen. Thank you.
Thank you to Avril. So as you were speaking, we also saw some catalysts leave their key takeaway from this session in the chat, which I would read some shortly. But Joseph, if you could also share with us one key lesson you would like every catalyst to take away about engaging communities and education.
Yes, so just like Avril has mentioned that already, empower the community. Listen first before you act. So understand what the community really need in terms of education. Then you can think of how you can support them with your technical skills to come together to solve it. And then you need to know this as catalysts, that the most powerful education projects are not the ones with the big budgets or the ones with the most technological advancement. They are the ones where the community take the lead or the community take ownership. So where local people or the local community take charge, then education becomes part of everyday life. It is not sometimes that we have to think about parents getting this, interacting with their children intentionally, supporting them even at home to be able to learn. So you need to know this. So if there is one thing that you have to walk away with today, that educational initiatives that we are doing, and EduSports model fits this very well, that we are not just teaching the communities, we are empowering them to teach themselves to have brighter futures. That's what I would say.
All right. Thank you to Joseph. So just taking a few from the chat, the sustainability when community takes the lead. And Daniel says he likes the fact that community engagement is a process, but it's not about the hard work. And also targeting people is very important. And he says this is a very educative session, which I also believe same. We are almost at time now, and this has been a very interactive and practical session, I must say. I have taken so many notes on some tips on community engagement, which I'm hopeful that the catalysts have also taken some. We have just about 4 minutes if anyone would like to ask a question in the chat, but if not, just quickly going on the sports lead challenge for this month. So again, the challenge title is Improving Your Sports Community and Stakeholder Engagement. So this is also referring us to something that happened last year. That was in September. There was a task to execute a stakeholder engagement strategy for the sport. And this involves identifying and mapping out key community members, organizations, and leaders as stakeholders using a stakeholder engagement matrix. So, dear Catalyst, this is in the sports lead challenge that has already been shared. And you will need to reach out to these stakeholders with information about your sport and its activities. And finally, create a detailed register to track these engagements, which can be done using the attached template. Again, there's been a template that has been attached for you. So at this point, we hope you are having a very interactive session with fellow Catalysts as you go on the February Sport Lead Challenge. And in case you have any inquiries, please don't hesitate to reach out to your regional coordinator. Okay, so at this point, we would like to thank Joseph and Avril very much for your contributions. And also just to mention, we're to have three guests, but Richard has sent his apologies. But then again, we can also say Avril and Joseph kept us very engaged with the nuggets that they have dropped for us today. Okay, so again, community means everyone. This has been a great session, and we thank you again for your time. Thank you, Catalyst. And if there is anyone in your sport team who would like to catch up on this, please note that the recording would be available. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. And to Catalyst, we are really looking forward to seeing how your Sports Lead Challenge outputs would come out. Thank you very much for joining the session. And before the Catalyst leave, if you can just also leave your name and the spot you are joining us from, would be very happy. So you can do that and then you drop off. But to Joseph and Avril, thank you very much for joining and for being our guest, and have a good evening till we meet again.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
evening,
Akofa.
everyone. This was
Thank you
good.
for
Thanks.
Good
good
evening.
facilitation, Akofa. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you to
Bye-bye.
Avril.
Thank
Bye.
you. Mhm. God bless.
Okay, so our Catalyst, I took the names of the people who had joined earlier. So if you could just drop in your name and your chats, your name and your spots in the chats, and then after that you can drop off. Thank you.